Hi, my name is Jill. I'm a recipe writer, tester, and stylist for the New York Times Magazine, and I do all my cooking in my tiny kitchen. In this week's New York Times Magazine, Christine Melke, our food editor, writes a story about La Quercia, which is an Iowa-based prosciutto maker. They make all sorts of cured pork products. We're going to make today a recipe from Nate Appleman at A16 in San Francisco. It's a ragu that uses a lot of La Quercia products. This recipe is actually kind of hysterical because it's called uova al purgatorio, eggs in purgatory. It's a funny name for an interesting technique. So let's talk about the meats. We're using very inexpensive cuts of meat. Now picture me, if I were a pig, this is my hand. This cut of meat here is the shoulder meat. So you've got Boston butt cut here, and a little lower is your picnic, ham hock, and your pig's feet. Boston butt is called that, I just found out, because during pre-revolutionary times, people would take these less expensive cuts of meat from the shoulder area, throw them in this canister that they called a butt. This cut is what you make bacon out of, the pork belly. This part here. The only problem with it is you have to pre-order it. A lot of butchers carry it, but you might need to call and make sure they have it. This is the prosciutto, the butt. This is where this piece is, about down here, right before the knee. If you can't find pork belly, then just go with pork shoulder, either the picnic or the Boston butt. Essentially, this is the night before, and we're going to start by curing the meat. And I need a scale. Hold on. I'm cleaning it because I just stepped on it. Put a piece of plastic over the scale so you don't get it dirty. And this is the pork shoulder, so I need a pound, 8 ounces of pork belly. We need another 8 ounces of prosciutto. Okay, so now we want to chop everything up into big chunks. The prosciutto we're going to cut tomorrow. You need to have a really sharp knife for this. Alright, now we're going to take this and we're going to salt it. And this is a really simple salt curing process. You kind of just toss it around here and then give it a nice shower of more salt. That's good. And cover it up for the night. And Hollywood style, we have the fabulously already cured pieces of meat. Now you're going to take your prosciutto and chop this up. It's a lot harder to cut than the other pieces of meat. Now we're going to take a red onion here. We're going to cut it right down the middle so it stays together. And now we're going to take a half a cup of olive oil. It's a lot of olive oil. In this pot here. You don't want to use a wide pot because you want all these meat pieces to be completely covered. So we're going to put this half cup in here and you're going to add these halves of onion cut side down. This edge here is going to permeate the oil and give it that essence of onion. Put them over medium-low heat and let them cook for about 20 minutes. Very simple. The next thing we're going to do is get the tomatoes ready. Okay, so you're going to take 2 cans and you're going to put them in your bowl. If they have any basil leaves like this, I like to take those out. And then you're going to use your hands and just chop these up with your hands. They can really get squirty. And then you're just going to season these 2 pinches. Don't forget about your onions. Remember to stir them. You don't want them to burn. Remove your onion halves. And we're going to do something with these later. So this is how simple this recipe is. All you do is pour this, put all your pieces of meat in. Just cover them in. And you're just going to stir it. Put it over here. I'm going to bring it to a boil now. So now that's cooled. We're going to now take out all the meat. You'll notice there's a lot of fat on there, and you don't want to skim the fat. The fat gives it flavor. So this is kind of a little labor intensive. It takes a little while to take out each of these big chunks. This is ragu, and it doesn't look like ragu because it doesn't have any meat in it, really, but it is. It's Southern style ragu. And then, now that it's cool enough to handle, you're going to take these pieces and pull off the fat and toss the fat. And the prosciutto, I'm just not going to use at all. Now with this meat, this gorgeous meat, you can throw it back into the sauce and serve it with pasta. You can make a sofrito, which is just the onion fried in oil and then this tossed in there. That's what Nate actually advised we do with it, is to make a sofrito and serve it as sort of a second course. And now we're going to make the polenta. This is a very basic recipe. It calls for polenta, water, the chestnut flour, and salt. Because it's not easy to find this, I'm going to use the whole roasted chestnuts here. I'm just going to drop them in a bag, and then you can take like some sort of mallet type thing. Oh, you know what? That's good. We're going to measure out like a half cup. I'm changing this recipe a little. A quart of water, a a big pinch of salt, and a cup of your polenta. You pour it all into this cold water, which I was kind of surprised by because I've always done it in boiling water. And then you're going to take a whisk and whisk it and set it over high heat to boil. This is your ragu, all ready to go, and we're going to pour about 3 cups in here. Messy. I need a large skillet with a lid. This is my skillet with a lid. Ouch. We're going to pour our 3 cups of ragu in here, and then we're going to add a half a cup of water, just to thin it out a little. Then you're going to stir that. And then we're going to set this over medium-low flame to a nice simmer. And right at the end, after the polenta is almost done, you're just going to taste it. It's a little chewy still, so it needs a few more minutes. So I'm going to add the chestnuts. At this point, you need to start seasoning it too. A pinch of salt, some pepper, and stir it up. Pretty good. It needs more salt. You gotta learn to season, and you have to learn to taste as you go. If it doesn't taste quite right, usually the answer is a little more salt, a little more pepper, salt at a time. Oops. We're ready to cook our egg in this ragu. What we're gonna do here is just crack these eggs over the warm, simmering ragu and just let them cook with a cover. So the eggs are just about done. I'm gonna actually take them off a little early, and we're ready to plate. This polenta, 2 big dollops there. Your ragu here, your egg right on top with some extra sauce around it. And then, as if we don't have enough fat already, we're gonna top it off with a piece of lardo. It's cured fat back. So you just place it on top. You can put 2, more fat the merrier. And then we're gonna just take some ricotta salata, grate it on, and that's dinner. It's pretty good. Wow, that's really good. That's really good. And then after we're all done with that, we're going to take the whole dish, coat it in batter, and deep fry it. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that.